Welcome to Wrapping Things Up, the podcast where we tie up the loose ends on all things packaging so you walk away with solutions. Coming up on today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrapping Things Up. I'm Meredith and I am here with two guests today. Strull episode. I'm here with my boss, Alex Sielaff. She's the Director of Marketing and Communications at Viking Basic. And our special guest today, Miss Vicki Strull. Strull. Thank you for the pronunciation. I always need to check up on that. She owns her own business. She is in charge of Vicki Strull Design. Is that correct?
That's right.
And she is coming all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, and she is a packaging design consultant. Vicki, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
We're so excited to have you. I think we're going to have an amazing conversation. If you don't mind, if I missed anything, is there anything else you want to introduce yourself with?
Yeah, I'm a graphic designer by trade, and I'm a packaging designer. So I have a specialty in packaging design. And I also do a lot of brand identity design. So there's a lot of brand strategy. And so when I think about designing packaging for a company, for a brand, whether it's a rebrand or it's a new brand that they're introducing, I think about it strategically on how they can grow their business, or maybe they want to expand market share, or maybe they want to build brand loyalty. But that's how I think about it. And then I design the packaging accordingly. And I focus on high creativity and also premium packaging.
That's awesome. Well, we know a little bit about that coming from the marketing realm of the packaging industry. Okay, Vicki, I always like to start off an episode with a fun question. So I've got one for you. During some recent trips to the grocery store, which you do very often, you love to post about it on LinkedIn, what packaging have you seen that really wowed you? And do any come to mind that were a miss or not as great in your opinion?
Okay, so I'll give you an example of both.
Okay.
About a year and a half ago, last April, I was super happy when I saw the rebrand of matzah.
Okay.
Okay. Because this has been around, Seder tables is pretty ubiquitous around Seder tables. And I've seen it my entire life. And all of a sudden they brought it to life with this cast of characters with the grandma, the bubby, and the zaidi, the grandma and the grandpa, the children. They love the matzah. Some of them are hugging the noodles, the egg noodles, and the matzah meal and stuff. And it's just so much fun. They redid the logo type. It just feels fresh. It feels like they've taken a very traditional brand and brought it to the 21st century for people that were born in the 1990s that are now hosting their Seder. So this is their Seder, not their grandmother's Seder or their great-grandmother's Seder. This is their Seder, and this feels like it's a brand that could live in the pantry, could live next to some of the very modern types of sodas, like a Sky Pop or a Poppy, or it's next to the Magic Spoon cereal. Like, this is the kind of brand that could live next to that. And because the entire category is rather beige and bland, this was just so refreshing to see and made me so happy.
What I love about it is before it was blue and white. It
I was just about to ask what it looked like before this.
Primarily white with some blue detailing, and it was iconic. Like, you would know that brand from what you saw. But this, I think, translates that warmth, that family gathering with the colors, because this is radically different than what it had been before.
Sure.
And it was a bold, correct step in the right direction, I think, because it captures all of those feelings in the box.
Great example.
Yeah.
So do you have an example of one that maybe didn't measure up?
Okay. So in the grocery store that I go to, they have, and I'm in Atlanta, they have a section in the grocery store of products they are trying out to see if they sell enough that they can put it regularly as a SKU on their shelves.
Okay.
So I check it out all the time. And so I was in there and I saw something, and it was a white plastic container, and it said happy on it. And it was all type, very minimalist. And the type was fine. It looked good. The problem was I didn't know what it was. And I thought it was protein powder. I thought maybe it's a nutraceutical, maybe it's a supplement. And it's shaped a little like dental floss, but big. It was about
like
this
a
big.
Band-Aid box or something.
Yeah, it's shaped like that, but large. Okay. It was coffee.
Oh. Okay.
Yes. So it's really surprised me because it was coffee. And I feel like I did a little research on the brand, and the brand is really embracing the joyfulness of drinking a cup of coffee, which I really appreciate. I love the smell of coffee. I love looking at coffee packaging that's really good. And so I get that. And the type, it was called Happy, and the type was, pretty happy. It was in a sans serif type, but I think they strayed so far from typical packaging in their category. It didn't read as coffee.
Yeah.
There was no indication that it was coffee. There was nothing in the logo that indicated that it was coffee. It was small, that it said coffee, and there was too much type to get through to understand it. So sometimes the hierarchy can be a little off. There's so many things that I look at when I'm looking at packaging to evaluate it, or even when I'm designing it. There's just a lot that goes into thinking about it, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Well, in coffee, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when it comes to packaging design is one of the more intense industries. Coffee gets really fun with their packaging design. So maybe they took more of a minimalistic angle to try and be different, but maybe it just didn't measure up the way that they wanted to, or
it's the container. It's the plastic container that throws everybody off, because if they're organic and they're single origin and they're joyful and they're freshly roasted, none of that comes across in a white plastic.
Very interesting.
So Meredith, you're correct in that the coffee shelves at the grocery and elsewhere, the competition is so fierce.
Right.
And now the coffee industry is facing price increases, tariffs, and there's a lot of pressure that is now added to the packaging because it has to sell, and it has to sell a very premium price right now that consumers are still taking on. But maybe they're going to be even choosier with how they choose.
Yeah.
So absolutely correct. And getting the packaging right is critical right now.
Well, and there's some standard, what I noticed when I go through the coffee aisle, there's some standard types of containers and shapes based on the type of coffee you want. So there's the pre-ground, day in, day out, whatever brand it is, and it's a big can or it's a big tub. That's not the type of coffee that I drink. So I'm looking at other coffee. Then there's some that's smaller batch, and then some of those are in different kinds of pouches. This was kind of a cross between, and it just didn't make me feel warm and fuzzy. And there's a lot to packaging that's happening emotionally, not intellectually.
Changing into a different area of our conversation, I would love to kind of talk about the consumer and what kind of goes on in their mind and your opinion of that. So my question is, when a shopper is walking down an aisle, what is going on in their mind, and how quickly are they judging brands on the shelf?
You can think of it this way. Like, you walk into a store, and when you walk in, you see everything that's around you. Okay. So your sense of sight is activated, and then your sense of sound is activated. You hear all the atmosphere. You might hear some music that's playing. You have as you're walking, you see different packaging, you see merchandising graphics, you see end caps. And in your mind, you went to the store with something in mind to purchase. So whether you have a written list, like in a grocery store, or you walk into a Sephora, there's a reason that you walk into that place. So there is, in fact, a bias. Okay. And so if you're a consumer, you get to something piques your interest, you go down an aisle, you see things that are around you, and you either have something in your mind and you think, oh, this is the one that I want because you've purchased it before, but there might be something nearby that you go, huh. Now, when you do that, which is all happening in milliseconds, and it's subconscious, you actually haven't evaluated anything intellectually, right?
Yeah.
Rationally. Now you've got a couple of choices. You can quickly go back to the thing that you wanted to purchase, or you might reach out and touch something. Now, that moment when shoppers are making that kind of decision, that's called the first moment of truth.
Okay.
And so here's what happens. There's a company that's done an enormous amount of thought leadership on the importance of touch on print materials. Okay. And they make paper and paperboard. It's Sappi. Okay. Sappi had researched the importance of touch, and they had a piece called The Neuroscience of Touch, what's happening in your brain when you touch something. Okay. Then when they became a packaging company a few years ago, they wanted to see the impact of touch on packaging when people are shopping. So they partnered with Clemson University, a research institution, and they created a research study to see what was the impact of touch when people are shopping and what's the impact of touch on people's perceptions of what they purchase. And so I was one of the researchers to work on that study. So I'm very versed in this haptics.
Right.
Okay, so let's go back. Somebody reaches out and they touch it. And there's a few different ways. So I'll challenge you.
Okay.
The next time you go shopping, think about when you reach out and touch something, do you touch it? Do you turn it? Do you pick it up? Do you pick up two and compare?
I'm like trying to
Right.
put myself there and think
How
of
long?
how I do it.
That's right. How long are you holding or touching for?
Sure.
That hadn't been studied before, and it hadn't been codified before.
That's very interesting.
It's really interesting because if you think about it, you cannot actually purchase anything in a store if you don't touch it.
Right.
Okay. So for a shopper who goes in, they have something in their mind, they reach out and they touch. There's a point at which they decide, if they're holding it, they decide, do I put it in my cart or do I put it back on the shelf? That's a make or break moment.
Right.
And in the research we did, we found that if it had a more engaging haptic experience, meaning the material was sturdier, the material was more interesting to touch, maybe it had a foil stamp, maybe it had a soft touch, maybe it had an emboss or a spot gloss, there was something more interesting. When it was more interesting and engaging to touch, it had a competitive advantage for people to purchase it.
Huh.
And
Yeah.
I imagine, Vicki, once if I touch it, if I pull it off the shelf, I establish a relationship essentially with that package. So then when I look up at the price and, oh no, this is $3 more than the standard that I purchase, I'm still more likely to pay that $3 because I've established that relationship with the package. Is that correct based on your assessment?
So yes, but not absolute,
Okay.
because I don't have the research on that, and I don't know if there is research, but the relationship part is correct.
Okay.
The part that relates to price, I don't know the research behind that because I don't know that research has been done, but let's describe that relationship. So when you touch something, and this goes with shoppers, right? So we're talking about consumers. When the consumer reaches out and touches something, it activates a phenomenon in their brain called psychological ownership. Okay, so Alex, you have kids,
Correct. Yes.
and let's say you go to Target with your kids, and when you go in, they are touching everything. And
Yes.
then when you're done, let's say they pick up a stuffed animal, whatever that is, and you say, oh, sweetheart, no, we can't get that today. I have the soap and the shampoo and anything else that you got. And what does your child yell?
I want it, or
It's mine. They yell mine. They just do. It's mine because that's that relationship. That's that psychological ownership.
yes.
Now, which means it's inherent in us. It's innate. It's just that, you have little kids. They're not so rational. And as we get older, we're more rational. So you're right. When you reach out and you touch it and you're holding it, yeah, you do start to form a relationship. But then there's a second phenomenon that happens, and it's called the endowment effect, which gets to the price part of your question. Because once you have established psychological ownership, when we think we own something, the endowment effect means that we're willing to pay more for something that we own, or even that we think we own. So because we've already started to establish that relationship, we are willing to pay more. But your question of the $3, I don't know. The study hasn't been done of how much more.
Interesting.
Do you see? But we are. So like, for example, in the research, and this is also part of Sapi's thought leadership, if there's a coffee mug, like this coffee mug, and let's say I'm going to buy the coffee mug from you, and it's not my coffee mug, it's your coffee mug. And you think it's $5, but I think it's only worth $3.50, but it's your coffee mug because it's only worth $3.50, but it's your mug. So you think it's worth $5 because you have an emotional attachment to it. It's special, right? That's the endowment effect.
Got it.
And so all of that is happening. And when we think about it and the consumer and all of that shopping, guess what we haven't mentioned? We haven't said anything yet about claims on the packaging. All of this is happening before we've talked about ingredients or claims or better for you or clean ingredients or 10 grams of protein or whatever it is that we're looking for. This is before all of that because so much of our decision making is emotional and not intellectual.
Right. My next question for you, because I'm curious, you've talked about like the research that you've done within the two-step process of first they see and then they touch. You kind of talked about it, but I would love to know the research part of like why it is so important for them to touch that package. Like what's the difference if somebody doesn't touch it or doesn't?
Yeah.
You know?
So part of what we did in the research is we already know that there's been a lot of research about seeing, which is attention. So when we design packaging, the whole idea is that when a shopper goes into a store, they have in their mind that they're going to buy. And let's again take Sephora, and you know you're going to buy a certain brand of cream, face cream. And the job of the packaging designer is to capture that attention, to steal market share away from what that was to get your attention. So that's the differentiation. That's what you want to be. But you don't want to be so differentiated that somebody doesn't actually recognize
it. Looks like shampoo.
That's right. Looks like shampoo.
Right.
Okay. So you want to, so first you capture attention. Okay. You're just screaming off the shelf, which could be bright and bold or fun and fresh or hand drawn, or it could be minimalist, right? So there was a minimalist design trend about 10 years ago. All of a sudden things were just minimalist because that looks so different on the shelf. Then everything looks minimalist, not so different anymore, right?
That's true.
So that's what happens. So we see it. Now, once we see it, we then have to touch it because again, if it's untouched, it's not sold. You can't actually purchase it without touching it.
Right.
And so in the research, what we found is when someone touches, whether they touch it like this or whether they hold it, whether they turn it, after they touch premium packaging just twice, they're 50% more likely to take it home.
So twice.
Just twice. It's not 10 times. It's not 6 times.
Okay.
It's 2 times.
That is interesting.
50% more likely to buy it.
Wow.
But that was different if it wasn't premium packaged. So if it didn't have that engaging finish, it actually, it didn't have the same response.
What was that response? Or just like not?
It took longer. It took more touches.
Yeah. Wow,
so if you want the competitive advantage on the shelf, you want to capture attention, and then you want a premium haptic experience to engage the customer, to activate psychological ownership, to trigger the endowment effect, to then get someone to purchase it, because that's the point.
Right. That is the goal.
Yes.
And I want to add in here a recent personal experience. We were talking a lot about premium packaging. And with that, I think a fun through line from what we do to what you do, you make this gorgeous design. And then our machines are responsible for delivering that, sealing it correctly, ensuring that the glue sticks, the carton is correctly aligned so it continues to look premium. However, you can also just have pretty standard packaging, and if the seal isn't aligned or something is off, we all know the experience. I just had this. I opened some popsicles and 1, 2, 3 were sealed. 4th was not sealed. There was no even attempt at the seal. So something went wrong in the machine. My experience is, and this is, you're totally irrational. Something is wrong with this popsicle. I will not feed it to anyone in my family.
Yeah.
And immediately that brand that works so hard to stand out on the shelf or just be, a standard offering that I bring home to my family is now tarnished. So there's so many things at play in this whole experience, whether it's the functionality of the machine or the effect, the psychological effect of the packaging design.
Yeah. And so what that's getting at is the second moment of truth. So if the first moment of truth is when you first buy it, the second moment of truth is when you're using it. So you trusted the popsicle brand enough to buy it the first time. But then when you opened it and there's 4 popsicles inside and 3 are sealed and 1 isn't, now they are tarnished and you're wondering, may not buy them again, which means you're no longer a repeat customer.
Right.
And that brand lost you because of the second moment of truth. It's kind of like you buy something and the tear strip won't tear and you have to get the scissors out. Well, that's annoying.
Or it tears above the zipper.
Yes, that's right. Or the zipper doesn't work, or the zipper rips and you have to put it in a Ziploc bag anyways. Like that's all second moment of truth usage, or it leaks. It's terrible. That's all second moment of truth. It's second moment of truth that builds brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Which
this is
probably gets into more of what you guys would focus on.
Right.
Is that user experience. It's really the user experience.
Or like shredded cheese, for example. We've talked about this, that the responsibility of that bag to zip, unzip over and over again for chili night, for pasta, for whatever, that bag could be opened 10 different times and it has to perform each time. It's not just like the chip bag, which it has one job: be sealed, be unsealed. So there's such importance in how the actual carton bag, etc., functions when it arrives home because of that touch.
Yeah,
it's
true.
All of this is really good conversation for the question that I want to continue on and ask. How do you balance the graphic story when it comes to structure and real life usability? Like we've been talking about, when it comes to the packaging needs to be correct, because if the tear isn't right, if the box isn't open or is open, that will affect the consumer wanting to buy it again. So what's the balance in all the things put together?
So for me, when I'm designing packaging, I'm working with the packaging engineer for function. So it has to function.
Right.
If it's not functional, it doesn't work. It doesn't really matter what the brand story is. It needs to function, meaning the zipper has to work, the things that we just talked about.
Right.
Or for example, sometimes I put on my LinkedIn, I'll show a package where it says 150 markers and then there's all filler on the inside and all the markers are on the outside. And that's kind of mean for a little kid who thinks they're getting a tub of markers and there's just not. Like it just feels bad. To me, that's a package function that doesn't work. So it has to be functional. It's bar none. It's table stakes.
Yep.
After that, you get to brand story and storytelling.
Yeah.
So then you get to brand story and you get to hierarchy, and then you consider differentiation. So you start to look at, well, what are some of the other brands doing in my category so that you can look differentiated. I think one time I designed a brand of olive oil, and when I designed it, there were not any olive oil bottles that were dark purple and frosted.
Okay.
And I knew that would be tactile and look high end. And we did some metallic effects on the label, and it had a healthy price point. So it was the audience was 35 to like 65 or 70-year-olds. So they could afford it. There was maybe a little bit, they wanted to, either if they had young families, they wanted to give their kids just the best ingredients for what they were making, or if it was people that were following a healthy Mediterranean style diet, they could. But then I was looking at that, but I was still within the category. And I already understood that olive oil needs to be in a dark bottle because olive oil degrades with light.
Right.
So, which is why they're always in dark bottles or that dark green. We painted our bottles dark purple like eggplant, and they were frosted, and there weren't many like that. Well, here's what's interesting. Once the olive oil was in it, it became an Easter egg because it just looked dark. You didn't actually know that it was purple. As you drank the olive oil and it went down, then you could actually see the purple. And the purple was an eggplant kind of purple, and that was one of their brand colors. It was really a fun bottle.
That is very fun.
Yeah.
And I like the tactile experience of the frost because every time I grab it, I'm reminded I'm making the right choice for my family, or I'm making the healthy choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So all of that goes into it, the hierarchy.
Yep.
I just designed this protein soda, and because protein soda is a new category, even though protein's having a moment, that what they wanted on the can was protein soda as the largest element. They wanted to encourage people just to buy protein soda and then buy theirs. So their brand name isn't the largest item.
Sure.
Protein soda is the largest item because they're almost inventing the category because there's just not that many protein sodas out there.
Yeah,
so it feels a little backwards to us because we would think, well, why wouldn't Sky Pop be the largest? Well, in a year or two, maybe it will be. But for now, they just want people buying protein soda.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, you'll see the claim shrink and the logo get bigger.
Exactly.
And that'll be Vicki.
That's right.
Well, I would love to pick your brain a little bit on some trends that maybe you've been seeing in 2026. So if you would like to share, what are some rising trends that you're seeing right now? What should teams be doing differently to accommodate for those?
I think one of the things that I've noticed and that we will continue to see, and we've been seeing this for about the past probably 3 years, is very what I call squishy type. It looks a little hand-drawn. It looks a little like puffy.
Yep.
It's like taffy. It's like clouds. It's like I could
Bubble
squeeze
text
it.
is having another moment.
Yeah, there's a
coming
moment.
back.
That's right. It's hand-drawn. It feels like you could touch it and hold it.
Yeah.
And squish it. And there's some hand-drawnness to that. Part of that is because so much of what we're seeing with AI and machines, people want a human aspect. I think that we will see more illustrations that are look like hand illustrations, even though they might be done on AI. We won't know, but the idea of a human hand touching things will be the new kind of luxury, because that will feel luxurious because not anybody can do it.
I was going to say
right.
that was a good example.
Yes, it will be very similar to that because not everybody can do that. You can't actually replicate that necessarily with a machine right now to get that real hand done kind of feel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this old story about the Starbucks logo, but it's not symmetrical.
Yes.
Right? It's not symmetrical. They wanted the mermaid to look a little more real. So she's not exactly symmetrical.
Yes. Oh, that's so fun. I love that. What are some examples of human cues in packaging besides our sweet friend, Manischewitz? What are some other examples that you've seen already of human cue type graphics or trends within brands?
Well, one of the things that I just saw the other night on Super Bowl were the Lay's new campaign, the new Lay's chips rebrand.
Yep.
Because what they found, and I think it's 19%. When they did the research, 19% of people didn't think that Lay's chips were made from real potatoes. Which makes me laugh.
Which is
because I don't know what they thought they were made from.
Fake potatoes.
That's right.
We don't know their story.
That's right.
It could be something crazy.
Right.
Is that just because of their packaging design or like,
well,
what do you think that is?
I don't know if it's packaging design or people are just eating chips and they just think they're manufactured and they're in a shiny bag and they're not thinking about it. So they tone down their colors. They tone down their bag. It's now dull. It says no artificial flavors and no artificial colors. And then their whole campaign is focused on people working in the farms, planting the potato plants, picking those potatoes, getting them to market to then create the potato chips. Like there's a whole process to that. It doesn't just happen just, oh my God, I have this bag of potato chips. Like there's some human aspect to that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the narrative.
Yeah.
That we'll start seeing more and more of.
They're
I
really
think.
giving us the about us video that Lay's needs of like, this is our story. This is where it starts.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's Lay's chips.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
I would love to end our conversation on what could be considered small changes with a big payoff. So how do you feel, or what do you feel, I should say, what do you feel are some small changes for brands that they can start to make that will generally give them a big payoff?
Okay, that's a really good question. Mm-hmm. So let's just deconstruct it for a second. Okay. We'll just take it step by step. They need to try out their packaging from somebody who's never, pretend like they've never bought their packaging. Open it and use it. Let's just see if it functions the way that they think that it should function.
Right.
Open a bunch of them. Are all the popsicles sealed? Are they not? Are they easy to open? Do you need scissors? Does it leak? Does it reseal? Does it do what you want it to do? So I think from a functional standpoint, I'd start there. And if it does, okay, then look at, what is the story that our brand tells? What do we stand for? What's our personality? Does that come through on the packaging? Is there personality, or is it just pictures and type, right? Mm-hmm. Is it just a picture of a popsicle and the name of the logo? That's not really a story. And maybe that's how they sell, right? They need to look strategically. What's their market share? Do they want to expand market share? Who's their audience? Do they want to shift their audience? So their packaging, so they can start to deconstruct it that way. And then their packaging will actually get them there. So I think of packaging as a means to an end. It's a way to grow your business. And so if you think about your packaging that way, it's an investment in the business, but it is in fact a business growth. It's not just, hey, get people to buy more stuff. The whole point is to grow the business. So you look at it strategically that way. Do I need to increase margins? What can I do to increase my margins? Talk to the packaging designer, talk to the packaging engineer. We all work together. I mean, I think for some brands, getting the packaging designer in a cross-functional conversation is I think very smart, because then I can talk to the packaging engineer, I can talk to the converter, I can talk to the salesperson, I can talk to people that are in finance about margins, and then we can get on the same page. What are the goals of the packaging? And then we can get there. The marketing people, right? We're all in the same conversation towards the same goal. Right. Rather than just, change your logo or change the hierarchy. I think it needs to be much more strategic than that. So when we deconstruct it, if we look at the form and then we look at the strategic, where are they trying to go with it? And we look at then the story. And let's say all of that is in line. Then you start to look at, okay, how does it differentiate in the category? Are we differentiating enough? Then you could look at maybe the haptic experience. Let's say you're doing great, but you want to do better. And let's say I could tell you, as part of that research that I did with Sappi, we did a study on gifting. Part of the study had to do with gifting. And what we did was we asked people to taste 4 bars of chocolate. Okay. 2 of them were in premium packaging. 2 of them were not in premium packaging. And then we said, rate the chocolate, which tastes better. I thought, and what I wanted to happen, because you always start with a hypothesis. Right. I thought that they would think that the chocolate in the premium packaging would taste overwhelmingly better than the chocolate in the non-premium packaging.
Yeah, I would assume the same.
Yeah. And they did think it tasted better, but only 7 points better. So 57% of people thought it tasted better. Okay, so only 7 points. which doesn't seem like a whole lot.
Yeah.
Except I can say to my client, you put a haptic experience on your packaging and you get a 7% sales lift. That's huge.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, here's the kicker on that part of the study. Then we said to them, pretend like it's your friend's birthday tonight and you're going to dinner with them and your friend loves chocolate. Which chocolate do you gift to them? 70% of them chose the premium packaged chocolate.
Yep. Doesn't even need a ribbon.
That's right. It doesn't.
Exactly.
Which means 13% of people, when you do the math, 13% of people didn't even think it tasted as good. And they still gifted it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Because
Happy
of the
birthday.
package.
That's so
right.
true.
Because of the packaging.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
All the time.
Absolutely.
And I don't even realize it, but that's
right.
exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on the packaging,
Yeah.
maybe more so than
More
what
so than the chocolate. Of course
in
you are.
it.
Because we give things to people that feel valuable because we
Yeah.
want them to feel valued.
But I think there is like an assumption, or at least I've experienced, when I purchase something where the packaging, I see it and it's elite, I assume safely that the product is going to match that,
Yes.
which is why I also secure it and
Yes.
buy it.
Yes.
And pay more for it.
And pay more for it. So that's where it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me to buy it was the packaging first in that case scenario. Sometimes it can be the ingredients, but
So to wrap
for
up
sure.
this portion of the conversation,
Yes.
from what I'm hearing, Vicki, packaging, focusing on packaging design helps retain customers, which is a great value. When you have a customer, retaining them provides so much value to a company. And then additionally, it helps you command the price point in the margins that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. So whether you're in marketing, whether you're in engineering, or whether you're in finance, that makes good business sense. And I think the step-by-step model that you gave of evaluating what to do first is going to be so helpful for companies trying to tackle the big, hairy question of what's going on with our packaging and how can we make it be everything we need it to be for our business to succeed.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. It's whether it's retaining customers or acquiring new customers. That's what the purpose of the packaging is for. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
ladies, that's all she wrote. Miss Vicki, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for
Of
joining us
course.
today. Alex,
Thank
thank you for joining
Sure.
us, being
Thank
on the pod again. Alex was able to host one of our buddies
customers.
from one of our customers from Convoy of Hope. If you guys haven't listened to that episode, go check it out. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. Thanks again for listening and tuning in. If you guys haven't subscribed to Wrapping Things Up, you can do so on YouTube or on our website at vikingmasic.com. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Wrapping Things Up. Make sure you follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Stay up to date by checking out Viking Masic on social media. Thanks for watching.